Hey everybody, I'm Stephen Crabtree, and this is the Ask a Bud segment on the Get Roasted Entertainment podcast. In these interviews, we'll be interviewing Tennesseans on their journey into the alternative hemp space, how has access to these products affected their lives, and what would happen if they were to lose access to these products. Today, we are sitting here with Chris Pierce. Chris, if you can, just tell us a little bit about yourself and what brought you here.
Well, like I said, my name's Chris. I'm 35. I've been living in Crossville for about 4 years now. Worked as a machinist here in town, metal fabricator. Spent over 10 years working in the staging industry. I've had tons of heavy lifting jobs and a lot of manual labor throughout my life. And thanks to a stupid decision to get on a mountain bike, I ended up with 2 plates and 14 screws in my arm. And I've had 3 reconstructive surgeries, 3 years of rehab. I couldn't walk for 6 months. And so
Wow.
pain medication became a very difficult but important part of my life.
Yeah. And when were you prescribed pain medicine?
The first time I got prescribed pain medication was at the age of 17. They put me on Toradol and slow-release morphine. They made me feel horrible. I couldn't focus. I couldn't do just about anything on them. It just destroyed my mentality and made me feel horrible. And I've seen so many friends get their lives destroyed by it that that's a bad option.
It is a bad option. I mean, but like especially at 17, if you're taking that, I mean, you trust the doctor, so how long were you taking, narcotics?
A couple of weeks.
Oh wow!
Past that, I would rather deal with the pain than deal with the outcome of the medication.
Yeah, wow. So, at 17, then what was you doing for pain relief when you decided to quit taking it?
Crying.
Oh wow! Yeah.
I mean, honestly,
amazing,
with broken bones, couldn't walk, head was cracked. I mean, I did enough damage to make me feel like I was 70 at 17, and it hasn't gotten a whole lot better over the years, which is originally what brought me to smoking and using products like this to help.
Right. So you went through serious pain for so many years until when did you discover what was the first healthy alternative product that you discovered?
I had been around friends that had smoked for a while, but I tried it for the first time when I was about 22, 23, somewhere in that neighborhood. And at that point, even at the best of times with the back pain and everything, I was sleeping 4.5, 5 hours a night. It's about the most I could manage. I was in pain all day, every day. I was supposed to be on a 5-pound weight limit with my left arm, but I've got to work. I can't just sit at home. I can't do that.
Yeah, I understand that. I was hit by a drunk driver when I was 16 years old, and that started the chain of events to where my back was messed up, and I was prescribed Percocet, at 16. And at the same time, my mother, was on a plethora of medications and, was kind of insistent that I take it. So I trusted in that. But, so my story was a little bit different. But I applaud you on your willpower to not take those because it definitely led me down a really dark road. So you found cannabis at a early age, and that seemed to help.
It did. I mean, I didn't understand it too well at first, so I mean, it definitely took a while to figure out what I was doing and what was right for me. And it was not the same as there's obviously always going to be people that abuse anything and everything they can get access to.
Oh yeah.
That was honestly one thing I wanted to mention was that kind of one of the things that pushed me away from taking those pain medications was that as soon as anybody heard that I had them, the first question was, "Oh man, will you sell me a couple? Like you can get refills, right? Like you can give me this half bottle. That'd be awesome." And I mean, we're talking high school kids, and they were coming after me for drugs that I didn't even want to take.
Yeah. Well, the pill mills boomed in 2009, and that was 2 years after I graduated high school, and and it was definitely a problem. It's gotten what's created that problem to be even worse now is that they're definitely more difficult to get, but now you can get even more unregulated products, which is basically fentanyl pressed pills or just heroin that's mainly consists of fentanyl, and because it's completely unregulated, people are dying at an alarming rate.
Absolutely.
So it would really be better if they were taking pharmaceutical drugs, so that way they wouldn't die because they would know what they're taking. As far as a healthy alternative, I'm not advocating for people to abuse prescription medication, but
absolutely,
if it's that versus buying something from just somebody that's you don't know if it's going to kill you or not, it's really sad the amount of people that get away from it for a short period of time and then find like a down day, and then find somebody that run into somebody on that off day, and they connect them with something, and then they use, and it's a
Maybe
fentanyl
the
laced
last high
product,
you ever get.
and they die. Yeah, I just we just had a conversation with somebody that I did not know that I grew up with that just passed away not too long ago due to overdose. So it happens. It happens a lot. Um,
Well,
the
and one of the things that I've really appreciated about kratom specifically, because take kratom to sleep through the night. It's the only
mm,
way I do. But for back pain and the pain in my arm with the weather changes, I mean, I still have consistent issues all the time, so it's a big help. But I worked with an older man that was in his 70s, and him and his wife were both basically their entire life revolved around got to get that Suboxone, need my next Suboxone, got to get that next pill. And I actually got them a jar of kratom and had them try it, and he came back to me a couple weeks later and was like, "Where'd you get that?"
yeah,
I didn't have to take my Suboxones. I still felt good. Where do I get this? What happened? Like, what is it?
yeah.
And so at that point, they actually completely got off of the Suboxone and were strictly taking kratom. And him and his wife were both happier for it. They weren't stressed. They weren't freaking out about money all the time, or who had how many and how much could they get and how much was it going to cost them. And it's crazy, man. It's
It's an
just
expensive
money.
program if you don't have insurance.
Absolutely.
The Suboxone program is, and it almost seemed like the cash, here places prescribed just enough for you to sell the Suboxone to pay for your appointments. That doesn't really add any legitimacy to your sobriety, and I could understand why people wouldn't feel like that's a certain type of sobriety. But even in my opinion, Suboxone is a harm reduction tool.
Mm-hmm.
Sadly, it just much like other nicotine replacement therapies, its success rate is low.
And you can still get addicted. I mean,
It's 100% swapping one for the other. But one of them there's different science. One's a full agonist, the other one's a partial agonist. You take one for a prolonged period of time, and you're not going to receive any euphoric like benefit as you would with pain medicine. So like I'm prescribed Suboxone, have been for a long time. I've taken a bunch of different forms of it through Bunavail or which is a buccal film goes on your cheek, and then Suboxone is a sublingual that goes under your tongue. I do like the idea really of the science for the well except for the one fact there's two shots, and I can't think of their names right now. But what I like about it is that takes away the constant I have to take this every day. I have to take this substance every day. The shot is like a month time release. But for the main shot that was on the market when they were off, like I was going to take it, it leaves deposits in your stomach. And that just doesn't
sit right with you.
Doesn't sit right with me. Yeah, I would rather just keep doing what I'm doing.
I'm trying to fix the damage, not cause more.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was diagnosed with substance induced mood disorder. That's why I take it now. I don't take it because I have a opiate addiction. I take it because I was prescribed Percocet narcotics at a very young age, and that taking that all the way through my adulthood, and studies show that I think the brain doesn't stop developing somewhere between 24 and 26.
26, yeah.
And I was taking it until 24. That I was told that I could possibly have to be on the medication for the rest of my life, and that's where I discovered quality of life. You're given one life,
take care of it.
Yeah, take care of it. But we do a lot of stupid things when we're kids, and sometimes, we find ourselves in accidents. Mountain bike accident. I was in a car accident, and then multiple car accidents led me to the severe back injury and spinal stenosis, and I ended up having to have surgery 12 years later. Cannabis did help me tremendously, but it kind of like you had said before, like the hemp industry and what we're in now, you didn't know what you were gonna get. There wasn't any choice. The person that you were buying it from didn't really hardly know anything other than its outward appearance.
Well, and you rarely knew the person anyways. It was always, oh, I know a guy. Like, that's trustworthy.
Pineapple Express kind of sums it up kind of funny. The guy's like, they think you're your friend, but they're not really your friend.
No.
In most case scenarios, but you don't know what you're getting. And so the beautiful thing I like with the hemp industry is it more seems like it's as I said before, like a compound pharmacy. like I don't, before the hemp stores, I've not been to any like legal dispensary, stores or states in stores myself. So, but I've not heard of too much excitement about CBD and CBG and THCV and CBN and all these other, the acid forms of them. And, as I have in Tennessee and Georgia, and North Carolina, the ability to take what does good for you, and leave out the things that don't. There's a lot of people that don't like it, that don't do well or react well with THC, but THCA in its raw form is also a very good anti-inflammatory.
Absolutely.
It also does. There's some studies that show that it might help with cancer, and not trying to make any like factual statements here on the medicinal uses of it, but there's anecdotal evidence.
Well, the effects on Parkinson's, for instance, like, I mean, I've watched videos of people that will, they're shaking so bad they can't pick up a spoon, and they hit a vape pen, and 10 minutes later they could eat with chopsticks. I mean, it's the same as anything else. It's like ADHD medication. If you need it, it's amazing. If you don't, it's not going to be the same.
Yeah.
And I mean, but that's the same with anything, though. And I think part of the reason that there's a big difference between like how we feel about it in a smaller town versus how it is in other places is simply that, to put it bluntly, we're way more accustomed to being reliant on ourselves. We don't ask the government for much. We would rather take care of ourselves and them just kind of stay out of our business.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
They rarely help.
Yeah, and it tends to be the cities over enforcing their ways on the rural, and that doesn't,
like, we all live the same life, and we don't.
Right. Yeah, the first time I was exposed to that was working at the prisons, and they took away I was at 21, and they took away the Mini 14s, which is a 223 rifle, and because the bullet travel of, if they had to shoot one in a prison in the city, the bullet travel could
could cause secondary damage.
Right. Yeah. Collateral damage somewhere that you didn't, unintended target. But yet, a lot of the prisons are in the middle of nowhere in a farm, and
what difference is it going to make?
And that takes away the effectiveness of the officers that are roving around the prison, and and the couple officers that were on the ball field with hundreds of of inmates that know that now that there is no rifle and there's just a 12 gauge shotgun and a 38 revolver that's protecting the people that are in there, that it takes away your effectiveness. That's a common sense regulation for a city prison, not
it makes sense there.
Not for everybody.
Absolutely.
And that kind of opened my eyes to what's going on here, and why wouldn't they just make that for the individual prisons that would be more affected by that law.
Absolutely.
So you seem to use a few things on the healthy alternative side from kratom and cannabis. What type of cannabis product do you use? Is it inhalable, edible?
Well, it just kind of depends on the situation for me. Because honestly, my average day, I work in a metal fabrication shop from 7 to 3. And so just this morning, my first project was cutting in half 5 sheets of steel that weighed 550 pounds apiece.
So heavy work, yeah.
Heavy work all day. And then I go home and I've got a 6-acre farm I've got to run. We've got 50 to 60 chickens. We've got turkeys. I breed and raise meat rabbits. We do all of our own butchering. We've got our gardens. I mean, it's nonstop work. So I used to do the sativas because it would help me stay up and do the things that I need to do. But now that we're talking about starting a family and I've got all the stuff that depends on me, my to-do list is 5 times, it will outlast me by years at this point. And so the sativas started changing, and it started making me a little bit anxious about thinking about all the stuff I have to do. So now I've switched over to the hybrids and the indicas for smoking, just because it helps me to calm down, focus on what's in front of me, like do the things that I need to do right now, and the rest of it I'll work out when I get to it.
Yeah.
And then, like I said earlier, with the kratom products, I do that specifically for body pain, and I know a lot of people take them during the day. I mostly take them when I go to bed at night, because it's the only way that I sleep through the night is if I'm taking a kratom. If not, it doesn't matter. We got a brand new mattress. We got the adjustable bed frame, 4.5 to 5 hours a night. Past that, I'm up, my back hurts, I've got to walk around, I got to go sit in a chair. I mean, it's it's unreasonable, and I can't, for what I spend on hemp-based products might get me pharmaceutical medication for a week and what I spend in a month and a half.
Right. So your quality of life would drastically decrease
Drastically
because
change.
of just cost alone.
I mean, I spent $1,000 at the emergency room a couple of weeks ago because my hip locked up, and nothing. They immediately pumped me full of drugs that when I stood up, I thought I was going to throw up and pass out. Like the drugs were making me feel worse than the hip pain did. And I can't do it, man. And if that's my only option, and I don't have any options.
Yeah, that's really sad. There's nowhere you would have to move or relocate.
Or
go get it illegally.
Be a criminal. I mean, it's unfortunate that we've come to that point where you can either live in pain by the rules or you can criminally be healthy.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that that the laws were passed and law-abiding citizens came together, read the law, established businesses under the law, and then, as it said before, the goalpost was moved. The goalpost was moved.
They always
the goalpost was moved, and the statement was made was that we made an agreement and then we sued them. And that's not true. We did make an agreement and we did sue because during the rule-making process, the original agreement was not upheld, and terminology was changed that drastically changed, the agreement, in testing requirements. There was only one discrepancy that was brought up, and that was testing requirements. And here we are today, still fighting. So, the current bill that we're mainly talking about is House Bill 1376 and Senate Bill 1413. There is another bill that the name escapes me, but that would ban THCA and THCP. Just for all intents and purposes, we're mainly referring to 1376 and 1413.
Sure.
This is kind of side, but just to get what strain that you use for kratom, what's the most effective kratom strain for you?
I'm not sure what the strain is, but I just started the new triple berry ones.
Oh, okay. So that's an extract. Extracts tend to be more green, and to explain to everybody listening, with kratom you've got three different types mainly. You've got a red vein, which is more pain, is kind of sedating. You've got a green, which is like a mixture of red and white, which is more uplifting, gives more energy, not as much pain relief. And most of the people that were trying to use kratom on to help with opiate withdrawal or like opiate-like function found greens to be more beneficial because it didn't necessarily make them tired or drowsy and could function. So,
yeah, which is kind of where I'm at too. So
yeah.
I appreciate that aspect of it.
Yeah, and those are great, aren't they?
Because that's my biggest thing is I can't do something that it just puts me down. Like I'm not a child. I'm an adult. I've got a family to take care of. I got a lot of stuff to do. Yeah. I can't just zone out.
Yeah, you definitely seem like a high energy guy, and I applaud that because that's how I feel too. I do enjoy work, and it's that it affects my mental health if I can't be productive. So that again adds to quality of life.
Absolutely.
If I can't access these products, then it affects my ability to work, which then affects my mental health.
And so on and stress management is huge, and people don't get that. I mean, stress, you can lose your hair, you can develop all kinds of illnesses, mental and otherwise. And that's a big part of it is because I know how much I've got relying on me, and I know how many people. I mean, I've got family in Shelbyville that I have to try to go see and repair decks and fix houses, and I'm kind of the crap hits the fan, call Chris.
Yeah.
And so that's stressful knowing that no matter what decision I make, I've got so much riding on me that I've got to do it right, and I've got to be there, and I've got to get up, and I've got to go to work, and there's no option to it.
Yeah, especially wanting to start a family, that adds a whole nother angle.
Yeah, we moved out here, and at first we were living in a tent 3 days a week, working full-time in Nashville 4 days a week, and I was out here cutting down trees, living in the wild, bathing in the river. I mean, we basically went primal just to get out here and get property to get out of the city, and it's been a fantastic, crazy, just insane journey to go through, but when I tell you that I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world, I mean that 100%.
I'm sure you respect everything that you have. That's an amazing story.
We started planning a wedding at the same time. We started building the house at the same time. And this was all right as COVID hit. So, I mean, I lost my help. I built the house basically by myself. I had a couple of friends come out and help build the frame, but everything inside I've done myself. It's just,
that's amazing.
It's been a hell of a project. And thankfully out here, you know, like we talked about, we're just more self-sufficient out here.
Yeah.
We have neighbors that will come and help. Perfect instance, I was having trouble getting my garden in because my tiller wouldn't fire, and I was able to call my neighbor on the other side of the woods, and he drove through the woods with his skid steer and a grinder on it and cleared my entire garden in less than 5 minutes. I mean, it would have taken me hours if I could get the tiller running.
Yeah, wow.
So,
yeah.
I mean, just being able to rely on people out here, and, you know, like when I met you for the first time, I mean,
Yeah.
I've known you for a few years now, and I'm appreciative of that friendship because I found somebody that was so intensely knowledgeable about the things that he was selling and the things that he was doing that, like, I felt comfortable trusting you in what you were saying. This is not, you know, buying from some gas station or some guy on the side of the road that's got some stuff in a backpack. I mean, this is legitimate.
Yeah, and we try to stay on top of that, and as we expand and scale, I mean, it's definitely a difficult request because a lot of people believe when they come looking for a job that it's just, you know, getting high and hanging out with your buddies, but it is far more than that.
Absolutely,
you know, and
it's a business.
You know, and it tends to be, you know, a bit of a culture shock. You know, but thankfully our turnover is low. You know, and everybody that we've had has been. You know, real receptive to what we're trying to do here, and that's the main goal has been to strengthen and build community and support with each other, you know, and that's kind of returning back to relying on ourselves more than like government programs and government medicine, and like that was another thing with COVID, like to find out that like what was it, like 60 or 70% of our medication comes from China.
Mm-hmm.
If they're an adversary and they wanted to drastically hurt us and they just stop sending the medication,
It would not be hard to do.
or send a poison pill, or, I mean, whatever you want to say. There's a lot of things. The same things that are being said right now against vaping are the exact same arguments that you could make against the food that we get, the medication that we take.
Absolutely.
What's the difference?
And that's kind of the biggest joke to me about this is that they're perfectly willing to have fentanyl here, which is killing thousands of people, and they put it in every medication now. But they don't want us to take care of our own health at home. And not to get too far into it, but I think it was Dan Patrick that I was watching the other day when he brought the bill forward, that he brought up that there was a spike in THC overdoses.
Yeah.
But you can't find that anywhere. Even the DEA website says there's never been one.
Yeah, I think what he's talking about is probably a spike in poison control like calls, and like that. I haven't seen the data of that, and and I'm sure there have been, because like there are not many places that sell products that know enough about it to say to a person, start small. You can always
This is
take
what it's
more.
going to do.
You can never take less. Nor do they necessarily care, about. I'm not trying to say what store that is, but I'm sure a person that would listen to this would have an experience where they were just said, "This is just as good as that," or
I don't know, just buy it.
Yeah, kind of right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Well,
so like we just suggest that if the person can't explain it to you, don't take it.
The other thing, and this may be a little bit comical, but the other thing that kind of made me laugh about it was that when he was talking about it, he said that THC was at the same level as bath salts.
Yeah, I heard him say heroin.
Yeah, and so it made me laugh because I just had to sit there and think, it's like, man, if you smoke, you eat sandwiches. If you do bath salts, you eat faces. There's a bit of a difference there.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. The whole Molly's plant food bath salt thing was this isn't even spice. I think in the beginning of the hemp industry, a lot of consumers thought that CBD, and spice were very similar.
Well, yeah, because that was the thing too, is that I remember when they first started trying to come out with a legal version of it, that you ended up with like the what did they call it, the 7H, the seventh heaven, and stuff like that.
That's
I watched guys hit that one time and pass out on the floor. I mean, it was horrible stuff, and I think that there's still a lot of people that when they think about the legalized hemp products, that's the view that they have in mind, is that it's something that's just, oh, it's horribly dangerous and it's terrible for you and it'll kill you and all this kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And again, I know this is a little bit on the funnier side, and I forget who it was that was talking about it. It said, if you ever want to decide whether a drug is good or bad, ask yourself, if you lined up $1,000 worth of that product, what would happen to you? Because basically every pharmaceutical in the world, you're going to die. But with hemp products, you're going to smoke a couple and get you something to eat and go to bed. I mean,
You
it's
probably
just
fall asleep
it's just
before you get to
not
end of
on the
it.
same. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's,
And because that's always been a point of contention for me, is like, it's not that I turned to THC and hemp products because, like, well, hell, I'm bored and I want something to do. Like, I was looking for something that I couldn't get otherwise. Nobody was helping me with my pain. There was no, I mean, I had 3 reconstructive surgeries, 3 years of rehab, and I still hurt all the time. Like, they're not fixing that. All they're going to do is put me on a payment plan and get me addicted to pills. So I'll pay them for the rest of my life. Like,
yeah,
that's no plan.
through a maintenance drug. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right. I mean, and I mean, there's going to be some that say that you taking a kratom product or or cannabis product, is just trading one for the other, but the benefit there is a natural product that is less harmful
And
or
far
a
more cost
healthier
effective.
alternative. Yeah, right. As of right now, because in some of these new bills, there's more tax that they're requesting. So that's kind of the downside of, if we can't work with the legislators on how to come together here, and keep it reasonably priced and taxed to where everybody can, we want to help the schools and the roads and and the state in general, and we want the same stores that are operating to pay the tax just like everybody else is, and everybody operate ethically. But we won't there won't be an industry if we're overregulated and overtaxed. Then people will just continue to go right back to the street, to the guy that you don't know what you're getting. Like there's no consistency of medication, as we've talked to with Howard, and Charles on the previous episodes. The consistency of dose, and consistency of product is necessary, and you don't get that by
Not
just
at all.
going to the guy down the street that just has whatever. So as long as we can come together here, like what is it? 39 states have like recreational, like 23 states have some form of medicinal.
Tennessee's usually the last one to get on board with most stuff.
I really had high hopes for Tennessee, because in 2018 with the farm hemp bill federally, that left Tennessee open, to be a legal state, in the broad sense of what hemp cannabis is, and have effective hemp products, for medicinal, and somewhat recreational use. But in my experience, I think most people use them, more medicinally. That when they come in, they don't come in and say, "Hey, what's going to get me just absolutely blasted, man?" It's, I have a problem with sleep, or neuropathy, or anxiety, nausea, cancer, and my loved one needs to eat. Like, these are some of the most common statements when someone comes in, and like the fact that they would lose that because of lack of knowledge is just it's terrifying, and it's upsetting. So everybody that we've talked to so far has had some drastic health issue that it assists with allowing them to be a productive member of society and to have consistent quality of health, of life, which is what we all should be striving for.
Well, and that's the thing is, because if I find something that really works and that I appreciate and it makes me feel good and I feel better, I will try to share it with people that I know need it.
Yeah.
And the majority of people that I've taken these products to and said, hey, if you're struggling, or I found this really awesome product and this is working great for me, most of the time the first question I get is, will it help? It's not, oh, am I going to get stoned, or is this going to be amazing? It's literally just, am I going to feel better now? And that's the thing is, I feel like they act like we're all just a bunch of teenagers running around looking to get into trouble and have fun. Like, no, I need this to get through my day. I need this to be there for my family. If not, I mean, and beyond just the pain aspect of it alone, but the mentality behind it. I mean, how good do you feel when you've been hurting all day? How much patience do you have with people when you're in a lot of pain and can't do anything about it?
Oh, well, to explain why my legs kind of propped up in a chair and why I have a beverage here, is because I had surgery on Wednesday, and I also can't take pain medicine, so I've just kind of had to deal with the knee surgery.
That's rough.
In pain, and I use a few different things to help with that. I'm supposed to have it propped up, and I've had to kind of hobble my way over here to the studio, and so that's to explain some of what you may see, but it affects everything. When I was going through my journey, I ex-employer said I couldn't take a medication. While working there, I tried to abide by it because I didn't want to lose the job. The job meant more to me than the quality of life at the time. So I tried to come off of it. I did come off of it for a long period of time. They put me on tons of different medications. One of them had me suicidal. Then they diagnosed me with substance-induced mood disorder. And then that's when I come to prayer, more or less, of like, what should I do here? And I took a dose of the medication, and it changed my life. And then that's what made me believe that it doesn't matter if I can't work here or not, whether they're upset or not. Quality of life, means more than this career.
You only get one life, and there's no do-overs.
That's a common thing that we say here. So that you get one life, and it's best to enjoy it the best that you possibly can. And sadly, you're going to run into things like tragic accidents, that will hinder
a fun afternoon that changed my life forever.
Yeah.
It was one of the most painful things was I actually, from the accident, I hit the first time. Basically, I was trying to ride down a rather steep hill. I wouldn't call it a mountain, but my brake cable snapped. And so my thought was like, well, crap, I guess I'm going to ride this out.
Yeah.
But then halfway down, I saw this huge hole, and I swerved to miss it, and my front tire hit a rock and just folded in half.
Yeah.
There's no way you're riding that out. You're done. And so that dug into the ground and launched me over the bike, and the first crack knocked my helmet and broke it in half. The second one cracked my skull from above my ear to the crown of my head, and I shoved 2 inches of my spinal column into the back of my skull.
Oof.
And I hated life and everyone in it until that was fixed. I was angry. Like, I hated my sister, I hated my dad, I hated my mom, I hated everybody. I was a miserable person to be around.
Yeah.
And it's just it would be different if they were to say, well, we're going to take away this option, but here's this other thing that helps you that won't hurt you. But we're not being given that option. They're just saying, we don't want you to do it yourself, but we're not going to help you at all with it.
Yeah, I mean, currently, what the new bill would say is that you can't have any of these other types of THC, but you can have it in the drink. And the problem with that is edible versus inhalable. The body absorbs it completely, it's differently.
Absolutely.
When it's processed through the liver, it's 11-hydroxy, and when it's processed through inhalables, it hits the blood barrier, and it's a different effect.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not the same thing. There's speculation as to why we're kind of in this battle with big alcohol, because thankfully the youth are more health conscious, and I like the way that we're going with this. There's all kinds of more acceptable uses today that were not acceptable, or nor anybody thought people would be
all right.
Okay with it. I think the mushroom industry is going to become a flourishing business before too long, with the functional side being more like vitamins, like with chaga, reishi, lion's mane, cordyceps.
I've heard great things about the research with microdosing on psilocybin and stuff like that. Like about people with severe mental disorders that are dang near normal after some stuff like that.
Yeah,
I mean,
with PTSD,
mm-hmm.
Marital stress, or marital problems. The same thing with MDMA.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, we're starting to accept some of these out of the box processes, and I quite enjoy that. So like alcohol culture is going away. So like I get it as a business, in the free market they're trying to remain relevant, And that's kind of why we're fighting what we're fighting, it seems.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying that I have all the answers. That just from my seat looking in, and we need as many people to respond to the representatives. It's not hard. If you go to tnhaa.org, follow the call to action.
5
We
minutes.
send it on Crossville Vapor, on Roasted Hemp Co. And same thing with the vapor side. tnsmokefree.org. Like they're seriously trying to ban every single vape product on the market except for Views, Enjoy, which most people don't even know what that is. And I think Blue, and that would be it. That you can have. There's 34 approved products, 50 milligrams, old technology. No reputable vape shop sells those products because it's a big tobacco product. That's going to be. I don't even want to see what the black market of that looks like.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, too, is that there's never, in the history of the United States, there's never been a time where they outlawed something and it just ceased to exist. If the desire is there, I mean, it's supply and demand. If the demand is there, there will be a supply. You're not going to stop it. You can criminalize people for trying to take care of themselves, but you're not going to stop it.
Well, and right now you're talking about losing thousands of jobs in the state of Tennessee, millions in revenue for citizens to just order online, or travel across state border. It doesn't make a lick of sense to me.
Well, and it kills
especially
me
with the data that we have.
The way that they choose when they care about our health.
Yeah.
So people die, drunk driving accidents happen all the time. People get seriously injured and die all the time, but we're not banning alcohol. We're not trying to say, oh, well, you can only have beer and no liquor. There's so many other things that do so much more damage that it confuses me as to why they're trying to come after something so basically benign.
It's pretty blatant, when you have, the alcohol industry, proposing these bills, 1376, 1413, and then you've got Altria and R.J. Reynolds proposing SB 70763, I think it is, which is it's a state registry bill. I think there's 40 states in the United States right now that they have proposed those bills in. Sadly, we lost. There was a Montana representative that had brought a lawsuit, and he was defeated basically because it wasn't him that was supposed to have brought the lawsuit. It should have come from some other association or person. So it had nothing to do with the standing or merit of his argument.
It was just the person who brought it.
Which is. This is kind of what I'm talking about. It's
bureaucracy at its finest.
Yeah. So
I think it was maybe it was FDR. I'm not real sure that had the quote that said the most dangerous words in the English language are "We're from the government. We're here to help."
I think that was Ronald Reagan.
Reagan. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, I'm from the government. We're here to help. Yeah. So. I think we really touched on quite a bit of everything, man. I'm very appreciative of you coming out, Chris. I know that you guys have continued to do everything that we've asked to do, and again thank you for coming in and giving your story. The other part that I'm looking here is more on the recreational use and legal perspectives. So I think we pretty much touched on why you use it, what brought you here, and what would happen if you lost it. Again, thank you for your time.
I think in parting, the only thing I'll say is that, especially for this whole circumstance, and this is the thing, we help a lot of people anytime they need stuff. I mean, butchering, farm work, figuring stuff out, house building, whatever, we're there to help.
Oh, yeah.
And people are always so appreciative, but I always have the same answer for them, and it stays true to this, too. You can't depend on the government. The only way that we all get through this is together.
Yeah, I agree with community and community support, shop local.
And if they take this away, what's next?
Right. Yeah, kind of like that.
Moving goalpost.
Where'd you get the haircut?
Oh, yeah, I actually got this haircut from Blue Spruce Barbershop here in Crossville, local family. Him and his wife both do hair. They're amazing, fantastic people, and I absolutely love being there.
Yeah, I get it, man. Yeah, people ask me where I get my beard done. I've been going to Matt Wilson for a long time. So I like to spend money locally, man.
Me too.
Yeah,
support where you can.
Exactly right. So please, everybody, like I said, you can follow us on Crossville Vapor at Facebook, Roasted Hemp Co. I think it's Get Roasted Storefront. You can go to roastedhempco.com and follow the call to actions for the Tennessee Healthy Alternatives Association, Tennessee Smoke Free Association. CASA.org is also a consumer advocate group where you can get call to action depending on the state that you're in. All of this is extremely important to call and let your legislators know, representatives know that you oppose, bills HB 1376, SB 1413, SB 0763. We've got one heck of a uphill battle, this year, and with each other, we will make it through.
5 minutes of your time could make a huge difference. Write the email.
Most definitely. Thank you. Thank you, guys. And for the next one, we will see you then.